Welcome to Guns and Gear Network, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today. I want to bring you this little educational video, little talk about firearms training, practice, things like that. So, me and my son went to the range today, and that's what kind of brought me to this video. And every time I go to this range, it's a private range. It's a membership-only range. Very nice area, nice range. But a lot of people come in that are novices, getting started with shooting, things like that. So my head's always on a swivel the whole time I'm there. So it's kind of stressful, to be honest with you. And today was no different. And one situation kind of stuck out more than others. Towards the end of the day, a nice couple came in, a man and a lady, and they sat up beside of us, me and my son, and they sat there for like 20 minutes with this. He did with this lady, trying to even see through a scope. She couldn't see through it. She couldn't find her target because her field of view, obviously, on a scope is small, and so forth. Well, besides that portion of it, because she was obviously frustrated and just getting a lot of anxiety, not the best way to teach somebody firearms. And then, on top of that, the safety was terrible. She kept her finger on the trigger basically the whole time they were there. Even when she pulled her head up and was, talking and asking him questions about seeing through the scope, and he was not paying attention, and her finger was on that trigger almost entirely the whole time. It got so bad to the point later when I was getting ready to leave, I had to point at her finger while they were literally having a conversation with like two other people, and she was just sitting there talking with her finger on the trigger, resting on it. And I finally just pointed at her trigger finger, and the guy looked at me. He said, "What? What's going on? What?" And I said, "Her finger's on the trigger." Oh, okay. And then she kind of pulled her hand back and all that. My point to that is, he did her a disservice by taking a new shooter to that range to go shoot. What I highly suggest anybody do with a new shooter that's never handled a firearm, so forth, is dry practice and possibly airsoft guns, depending on the situation. So when I mean dry practice, I mean bringing it down to the basic levels. And to do that, I use a blue gun to start with. This teaches finger discipline, trigger discipline. It teaches proper grip technique. It teaches how to, holster and unholster the firearm correctly, how to get the proper grip. Just basic handgun or gun handling skills can be learned with the blue gun. If it's dropped, it's not going to hurt anything. If they flag something, it's not going to hurt anything, obviously. But we can start the basics with something like a blue gun. This right here is an excellent tool. A lot of trainers use them. That's why they're blue. A lot of law enforcement folks use them, and I'm a big advocate in taking a new shooter and start with a blue gun first. Then normally what I do is I go up to an airsoft gun second. I can do it in a controlled environment. I can do it indoors where it's comfortable. We can do it, in a basement. You can do it outside, and that's fine if you want to do that, but I can do it in a very controlled environment with a new shooter to take their stress level way down to where they're comfortable and they feel like that they're not scared of the recoil, they're not scared of the noise, so forth and so on. Now, I do recommend them go ahead and wear their ear protection and their eye protection. Eye protection, obviously, because it's BBs, but with the ear protection, it just gets them used to wearing that because they're going to be wearing that when they get to the range itself. So the good thing about airsoft, they're very super realistic. This is a Glock 17 model, just like the blue gun is. This Glock 17 model, the slide goes back with each shot and so forth. This is called a gas blowback version that is very realistic and works really well for training purposes. I've been utilizing and recommending airsoft for training for a better part of probably 20 years. So I'm a big fan of those. And anyway, so I'll bring my wife or my son down here in the basement area. If you look here, I've got a target set up. It's not a airsoft specific, believe it or not. That is one of the portable closets that you can buy. That's a Rubbermaid version. And if you see, I just got you can make it work. So I just kind of left parts and pieces out so it didn't have a bar in the middle, things like that. The targets you see hanging there are just basic metal discs that I picked up at Lowe's. I think they were in the electrical department. I think they're some kind of electrical cover maybe. They were gray or tan when I bought them. Painted them white. They already had holes drilled in them. I took clothes hangers, made my wires so I could hang them all in there, and when you hit it, obviously it'll report and it will make a noise so people know that they hit it. Because they're smaller, it represents a good distance on a regular size plate that you would see like at our range. So that's what I use. And so anyway, while we're down here, I was want to go ahead and kind of show you. My son's been practicing. We shot at the range today. He's learning the pistol. We've been doing a lot of dry practice. We did a lot of dry practice with a long gun, looking through scopes, learning what a clear scope looks like, what a sight picture looks like, and things like that. And that's why I highly recommend. Once we got to the range with him, the safety was great. He didn't. My wife was pretty impressed that he didn't touch the finger on the trigger until he was ready. All those things, but we had instilled that in a real secure environment, in a controlled environment, to where it was ingrained. It's muscle memory now. So does he make mistakes? Yes. So he's 9, so I have to make sure that I'm watching him and things like that. But at the end of the day, I would much rather be in a controlled environment to learn the principles and so forth to begin with. So anyway, we're going to run a little test run here, and we're going to do a little run and see how he does. Anyway, son, come on up here, and we're going to let you try this thing out. So anyway, tell everybody, say hello.
Hello.
How are you doing today? You happy?
Yeah.
Did you have fun at the range today?
Yeah.
I did too. All right, so you ready? All right, so load and make ready. Okay. All right, shooter ready. Shooter ready.
Yes.
Boop. Take your time. Good job. Good job. All right. Good job. All right, guys, so that kind of gives you an idea. I'm not making excuses for him, but I can tell you what happened in the beginning. Earlier today, we were shooting an M&P 22 that points different and everything else, so he had to get used to shooting this Glock again. Because I know was that causing you some problems because it felt different and sighted different than the M&P that you shot earlier today?
Yeah.
That's what I figured. So once he figured it out, he was back on target. But that's what I'm saying. So sometimes even him, he will get fast. He will want to shoot fast, and so forth. So I have to slow him down because he'll start missing, and I have to tell him to slow down. But I'm going to show you real quick how this gun functions, and we're going to actually load a magazine. So it uses these little 6mm BBs, and it's pretty simple. You just pull this down, put him in here, and we're going to let him do one more run. I'm going to load this magazine up real quick, and we'll see how he does this second round. But I'll sit down when I was shooting some competitions and stuff. I did a lot of practice with Airsoft, and a lot of other guys, a lot of the professionals use Airsoft in the off times, or when it's bad weather, things like that. It's super cold, or it's wet, rainy, whatever. They can sit in their garage, set up full realistic scenario types that they would shoot, even if it's a Steel Challenge or IPSC or any of that. You can set up all those scenarios just like you would in a real range, shooting real firearms, and get a very realistic training session in. And I think true dry practice with your regular firearm is fine. but a lot of guys do both with the airsoft and that. So you can use what's called green gas. It's cheaper to use propane with one of these adapters here. You turn the magazine upside down. Just top it off with gas. All right, so same thing. Now this time I'm going to do it a little different. We're trying to teach him some different fundamentals. So this time the gun has the slide in the lock position. So we're going to go from there and let him load it up and let him run a string of fire here. Load and make ready. Nope, you made a bunch of mistakes. All right, let's start again. See, that's what I'm saying, guys. They get a little nervous, plus he's on camera, things like that. So what's the first thing you're supposed to do? Good grip with your what hand? What hand? Well, no, what hand? You're supposed to grip it every time like that, correct?
Correct.
Right. All right. Where's this finger supposed to be? Up here like that. All right. Up high, remember that? Always grip it like you're supposed to from the start if you can, okay? What are you supposed to do next? Magazine in. Get a good, remember what I showed you? When you grab it, let go, let go. Index it with your pointer finger so you can make sure you're getting it in the correct way. And then shove it in really hard. Alright, overhand. Yep, correct. Make sure you got a good grip in the low ready position. Shooter ready?
Ready.
Beep. Good shot. Hitting to the right of it. All right, what happened? So you got a malfunction, right? All right, so lay the gun down. Now, guys, here's the thing. I've not gone to the next level of showing him how to clear malfunctions, so he knows when he has a malfunction to keep the gun down range and to let me know that he's had a malfunction. Obviously, I'm watching him, so I know that. So we're going to take the magazine out, see if there's any BBs left. There's not. So what happened is on that last round, it just didn't go all, it double fed, and it didn't go all the way back. So just that's why I say this right here is building blocks with anybody that allows him to see where his mistakes are, learn proper techniques and things like that. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you tuning in tonight. I just kind of wanted to brief you on a few things that you can work on for yourself, with your kids. Maybe you've got some lady shooters that you're trying to get into the sport. Something like this is very good to get them into the sport correctly. Without being intimidated, without the loud noises and things. And normally what I do is I go from blue gun, the gas blowback airsoft gun, to a 22. So I have an M&P 22. I've got a Glock 17 conversion kit. So I've got a few different options. And that to me is the best way to progress as you go up, and then you start getting into bigger calibers like a 9mm and so forth. But anyway, guys, appreciate you tuning in tonight. And if you have any questions, post those below. If you like our videos, give us a thumbs up. It's down there in that section. If you would share content, it's over in that section also. That helps us get the word out about the channel and what we do over here at Guns and Gear Network. So until everybody, bye-bye, and thank you for joining us.
Bye.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good night, and I'll bring you another video shortly. Have a great night.